Welcome, Wanderer. I am the digital avatar of Elias Artista, and together with my material counterpart, I shall introduce the content of this channel. If you have already watched our presentation, you know the themes we shall explore. To frame more clearly the Archilligan project, in this video we shall attempt to answer two central questions. The first question is, why revisit Pythagoreanism today? In the common imagination, Pythagoreanism appears as a collection of strange and enigmatic aphorisms shared within a sect founded by a charismatic leader. Yet if it were merely a collection of communal rules, how could the name of Pythagoras have commanded such boundless reverence across both time and space? The truth is that Pythagoras safeguarded and transmitted a body of knowledge of universal significance. On the basis of a reconstruction of its logic, our study will advance a series of theses, each radical in relation to the prevailing interpretation. 1. Pythagoreanism is a logical system, not a doctrine. Our exploration has uncovered a logical system codified in very ancient times. Shielded by initiatory secrecy, it was later misinterpreted through fragmentary accounts. Yet the surviving traces, when seen from the proper perspective, reveal a deductive structure that, through an archetypal diagram, proceeds from the whole and unfolds into a limited set of parts. We have named this system synthetic logic. 2. Synthetic logic rests upon a diagram. Ancient sources speak of geometric constructs, the tetractys, the harmonic octave, the psyche, not as mere symbols, but as proto-algebraic equations. This is the celebrated world of ideas forms evoked by Plato. The forms are not abstract concepts, but geometric lines. The loss of this archetypal diagram displaced philosophy's object of study, shifting it from metaphysics to psychology. 3. Throughout history, this logic has been sought. The greatest representatives of Platonic idealism, from Iamblichus to Nicholas of Cusa, and later modern idealists, such as Ernst Cassirer, all attempted to reconstruct the logic of the forms. This red thread shows that Pythagoreanism is not a relic of the past, but an interpretative key to reality awaiting restoration. 4. Pythagoreanism unites philosophy and science. Theoretical physics was born of Pythagorean intuitions, such as the conviction that reality must be studied through mathematical structures. To rethink Pythagoreanism means to return philosophy to a foundational role beside science, thus overcoming the modern divide. 5. Aristotle led philosophy off course. For centuries we have read Plato and Pythagoras through the Aristotelian lens, which reduces forms to concepts. This gave rise to empirical science and, at the same time, the decline of metaphysical philosophy. To reconstruct Pythagoreanism is first of all to free it from a misunderstanding that has endured for millennia. 6. The world of ideas forms is the fourth gnoseological dimension. Modern philosophy recognizes only three objects of knowledge: phenomena, concepts, and signs. Pythagoreanism points to a fourth, the forms, which constitute the logical foundation of the other three. To ignore the reality of the world of forms is to search for the key where it cannot be found. 7. Metaphysics is philosophy's authentic vocation. Kant shifted the focus of philosophy from metaphysics to psychology, reducing the transcendent to the transcendental. Pythagorean metaphysics, by contrast, studies transcendent formal relations, which lie beyond the conceptual sphere, for they shape thought, language, and reality itself. These are some of the radical theses we shall endeavor to demonstrate throughout our journey, theses that render Pythagoreanism strikingly relevant today. Let us now turn to the second question. Why has Pythagoreanism never been formalized? Our interpretation diverges at many points from the official narrative. The reason is that Pythagoreanism cannot be reconstructed within the limits of prevailing academic interpretations, constrained as they are by inescapable conditions. To overcome these constraints, one must 1. Resist historicist reduction. Academia treats Pythagoreanism as a historical phenomenon reconstructed from fragments and indirect sources. Yet Pythagoreanism is not merely history, it is a living logical system. Those who confine it to chronicle cannot perceive its vital structure. 2. Break free from dominant paradigms. Academic research is bound to consolidated methodologies, historicism, philology, textual criticism. These tools are valuable, but they perpetuate many misunderstandings. Reconstructing Pythagorean logic requires setting aside many interpretative traditions that act as filters. 3. Free oneself from cultural allegiances. Every academic writes within a web of interpretative schools. To stand outside academia is to regain the freedom to begin from the radical Socratic question, how does man know what he knows? And to answer, one must cease interrogating texts and instead interrogate reality directly through a process of anamnesis of one's own interiority. 4. Transcend interdisciplinary barriers. Pythagoreanism, by nature, brings together many disciplines, each shaped by the same logic of the forms. Academia, by contrast, thrives upon disciplinary fragmentation. Thus, what is essentially synthetic cannot be reconstructed by analytic methods. 5. Overcome suspicion of analogical knowledge. Academia has adopted a scientific method sustained by literalism, excluding analogy as a legitimate inference. Yet the bond between concept and sign is arbitrary. To attain objectivity, one must return to the forms, which are pre-linguistic and pre-semiotic. Since concepts are molded upon the forms, all metaphysical knowledge is analogical. 6. Revalue the relation between philosophy and symbol. Pythagoreanism grounds concepts upon the forms. The archetypal diagram is not a decoration, but a genuine cognitive instrument and the only path through which humankind may know the intelligible world. Following Ernst Cassirer, we must move beyond the academic prejudice that regards the symbol as a mere ornament of thought. 7. Transcend detachment from the object of study. The academic method demands detachment and neutrality, yet Pythagoreanism requires a restructuring of the student's consciousness, not mystical adherence, but a different form of understanding, gradual and organic. Without such a shift in perspective, any reconstruction remains superficial and inert. These are the reasons underlying our radical approach. The issue is not a battle between a bad academia and free thought, but rather the profound dissonance between method and object. Unless Plato's forms are recognized as the forms of an archetypal diagram, a legacy of remote antiquity, the most demanding passages of his dialogues remain all but unintelligible. From Aristotle onward, philosophy began speaking of abstract concepts, linguistic categories, hypostatizations. The Latin and scholastic tradition inherited this distortion. Modern academia, founded upon textual philology, inevitably perpetuates it. Philosophy, having lost the dimension of the forms, has thus sought refuge either in linguistic logic or in psychological analysis, and thereby lost the very foundation of objective knowledge. As for the two questions, that is all. Along our journey, each of these themes will be approached from different perspectives and explored in depth. We take leave of you with the formula, to the principle,